Hello and welcome to another Coffee with Colm, and thank you for joining me. This week I want to talk to you about 100-year work. One of the great privileges I have as MD of Carambola, which is Ireland's leading school lunch provider, is the opportunity to go and talk to kids in school. And I'm particularly interested in talking to 5th and 6th class kids. 5th class kids at this time of the year, leading up to the summer, talking to them about being the prospective, the trainee leaders of the school come September. Because when 6th class go out the gap and go off to secondary, well then 5th class take the baton from them and lead the school. So I have this wonderful opportunity to go talk with 5th class, and I'm particularly interested in leadership, responsibility and bullying. They're the three topics that I weave together in a particular story when I'm talking with them, and it's really a great privilege of mine. But I was talking to several hundred children during the week across different counties in Ireland, including some secondary school kids that came to visit Carambola headquarters, and I was talking with them about leadership, responsibility and the future, and of course weaving a bullying piece into it. But I was talking to the teachers and the principals in each of those schools about what I term 100-year work, which I believe is the work we're all doing together. And when I say we're all doing together, it means the school itself, the principal, the staff, the ethos, the building, the facilities, including the Carambola piece, including the piece that Carambola plays in the journey of these particular children. So the 100-year work idea comes from the fact that these children have been born into particular circumstances, whatever those particular circumstances are. They were born into particular circumstances in a particular area of the country. They found themselves in a particular school. They found themselves in a particular classroom with a group of children. They found themselves in a particular classroom with a group of children and a particular teacher. They are under the leadership, the stewardship of a particular school principal. There's a caretaker involved, there's a secretary involved, there's a lollipop lady involved, and all of that, including their home circumstances, I suppose come together to give these children a particular experience as they grow through primary school and on into secondary. And then you take Carambola and lots of other people who might come in and talk about a particular topic, but you got all these influences coming to bear on these children. And in my opinion, it's the coming together of all of those individual pieces that create, if you like, a mix, a unique mix in a child's experience at one point in time. So all of this comes together, and it's my absolute belief that when a child's school journey bumps into this congruence, this confluence of other ingredients at a particular point in time, it's when that bump happens that the magic can begin to happen. Because lots of children are somewhat predestined. They come from a particular background, particular set of circumstances that suggests that if they follow a particular path that's been predestined forever, that they'll end up in a particular place when they're adult. So you got this situation where they find themselves in a particular school, particular set of experiences come together, and it creates this bump in their life, and that bump can set them off on a slightly different trajectory. But over the course of 25 years, of course, that trajectory gets wider and wider and wider. And it's my absolute belief that in certain cases, not with all children clearly, but in certain cases we have an opportunity to create that bump in a very positive way, show them something that they would never normally have known except for that coming together of those particular ingredients at that particular time in the child's development, that sets them off on a slightly different trajectory. Over 25 years, it sets them off and sends them off in a direction that they would otherwise never have gone. That's the point. They would otherwise never have gone there. And but as a result of that, they end up 25 years later, metaphorically speaking, miles away from where their predestiny would have suggested. And in doing so, their children start from that position. Their children start off miles, metaphorically speaking, away from where they otherwise would have or might have. And then you go on another generation, their children, original kids, grandchildren, start from a completely different place again. And that is my version of 100-year work. That means that the work we're doing today, we have no idea. We won't be around. We have no idea where the influence is going to take these kids. But it's my belief that we have that opportunity every single day. But this 100-year work effect doesn't just apply to children. It applies to all of us all of the time. We don't know what we don't know. How do we come across stuff that we don't even know that we don't know in the first place? And the answer is we come across stuff that we don't even know in the first place when somebody else comes into our experience and presents us with new information. Your view of the world, my view of the world today is based on the information we have applied to our birth circumstances and our life to date. That forms our view of the world. And the only way that view of the world will change is if we find out something new about how somebody else looks at the world. So somebody comes into our path with a new piece of information that we'd never thought of before, we didn't even know existed out there, and all of a sudden our life is different, and it creates that bump that I'm talking about and has the potential to set us off on a slightly different path. You and I, I'm quite sure, over the years have changed paths, we've changed careers, perhaps we've either gone radically in a different direction or gently perhaps in a different direction, but we're different people because of the interactions that we've had. So that's potentially 100-year work, because somebody comes into our life and gives us a new piece of information. We go off in a slightly different trajectory, and over time that has its widening effect on our experience. And then our children start from there, and our children might be adult, as is the case with two of my children at this stage, but our children might be adult, but they see what we're doing, they see what's going on in our life, and they're influenced by it. And others around us see what's going on in our life and they're influenced by it. And of course we're influenced by them too. So at all times we're bumping into people on this universal journey, right? Heading off in the same general direction. We've really no idea where we're going to end up. But it's really important, I think, that we at least take time to consider the fact that everything we do has the potential to last for 100 years, has the potential to have an impact for the next 100 years. Really interesting concept. So the question I want to leave with you for this week is, what contribution can you make today that's going to last for 100 years and more? Think about it. You've got some unique way of looking at the world. You've got some unique talent that the world needs to hear perhaps more about, that you can put out there, make it available to some other soul out there who's going to take that, use it, put it together with their own ideas and bump off in a whole new direction. And you've no idea where that's going to lead. The only 100-year work that won't get done is if you decide to hide your talents, if you decide to hold back what it is that you uniquely can bring to the world. So I'd recommend that you put some time and thought into that. What are you passionate about? It might be working with kids. It might be artistry. It might be music. It might be business. It might be teaching. I don't know. It could be anything, right? But what's your unique contribution that you love to make, that you would make whether you got paid for it or not, okay? And then go do that, because that will enrich the world. That will enrich somebody else's journey, and we'll have this bump effect that in the short term will be almost imperceptible, but over 25 years will create a huge difference in the world. Over 50 years bigger again, over 100 years bigger again, and the ripples that you start today can and should and will last 100 years. Question is, really, is it going to be positive or negative? Because it's going to last 100 years and beyond. And thank you for joining me for this week's Coffee with Colm. I hope and trust that you got something from it. Assuming you have, if you've enjoyed it and you think somebody else would benefit, I'd be delighted if you'd pass the link on. If you've enjoyed it, it's your first time here and you'd like more of this type of stuff, well then go to the homepage, ColmO'BrienMotivation.com, leave me some details and I'll make sure you get a link like this on a weekly basis. Most importantly, please consider what's been shared here today and apply it into your thinking for this next week. And then equally as importantly, please come back next week and we share another coffee together and I'll ruminate on some other aspect of life and business. In the meantime, get some good coffee if you can, get some fresh air, get some R&R. If you spend a lot of time alone during the week, I recommend you go meet some people this weekend. If you spend a lot of time with people during the week, I recommend you take a little time alone. And then when the time is right, and only when the time is right, get your head back in the game, get organised for the week ahead, get stuck in, make next week count, and I'll see you here this time next week. Sláinte. I love great coffee. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.